how many, but the official law enforcement reports said that they only deployed the pepper spray and the bullets after the people who were trying to cross the river, after we asked them not to, after they were told not to, started throwing rocks and sticks and things at the officers. They were also greatly outnumbered. The sole intent was to try to prevent further escalation and further conflict between construction workers who were at the top of the hill at the drill pad and law enforcement and protesters to present. Because remember, we were coming off the week before where we had a very unfortunate confrontation. They requested access to do that. I own that decision to allow them access to the land, and I've been very transparent about it and why we're doing that and why we did that. In the end, there was a few people hurt in the confrontation. There was no arrests made, and everybody went their separate ways, which was a far cry better than the situation that was starting to develop from the week before, where 140 some were arrested. Unfortunately, 60 vehicles were impounded and multiple people were hurt. And if you're a leader on the ground, and we discussed this 2 weeks ago, leaders have the responsibility of all this stuff that's going on with DAPL, the lawsuits, the higher level of consultation stuff's going on. There's a lot of stuff that's happening in other places, in courtrooms, it's happening in Washington, D.C. But for the people on the ground, really good people on the ground, there's construction workers out there that are just trying to earn a living for their family. Right, and they're working for leaders for a pipeline company. There's law enforcement officers that have come from all over the nation to do their duty to protect and serve in the best way that they know how, and they're working for the leadership in North Dakota. There's these water protectors that have come from all over the nation. Some of them are tribal and some of them are not, but they came here for a cause that they deeply, deeply believe in, to protect the environment and protect the water. And we have these three groups of really good people out there trying to hurt each other, coming in conflict with each other because of our inability to provide good leadership.
Can you prove that a construction worker or a North Dakota police officer has been harmed? Can you prove that right now? You got any doctor statements saying this is, Morton County said, and I'm gonna get to this individual, this Kyle Thompson. They put out a press release immediately saying he was shot in the hand. And that was not true. So I don't think anybody was hurt. But we have Indian people who were bit by dogs, maced, beaten with batons, shot with rubber bullets. So we're the ones getting hurt.
Mr. Chairman, by the way, those events are extremely unfortunate, but that has to be referred to Morton County law enforcement. I can't speak on their behalf, and I won't defend their actions. I'm not.
But you guys are making all your decisions on what they tell you.
That's not correct.
We have a side too.
Right, and I've been one of the people personally, Mr. Chairman, who have sat down and talked with tribal representatives and tribal leaders. And as hard as those conversations have been, I have sat down and done that, and I've considered all perspectives in this, to include the perspective that you guys don't feel safe with Morton County law enforcement there. And I've communicated that in my request for federal law enforcement assistance.
You mentioned...
We can talk about this.
Okay, I'm going to jump here. Okay, you mentioned in that meeting you were going to go do a site visit because we were concerned with that drilling pad, if it was on Corps land or not.
Right.
And did you do the site visit?
We did. We verified that.
I'm following up with this. I'm going to be giving you a letter tomorrow asking for a report on that.
We've got the report on that.
Okay, thank you. And another thing is right now, as we're speaking, their drill is on that pad. And there's discussion that Dakota Access is going to drill that under, whether they got an easement or not. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, so we've heard those discussions, but they're incorrect. I have warned Dakota Access Pipeline. Now, when after our meeting, I did what I said I was going to do, and I was going to ask Dakota Access to stop work for 30 days, in addition to not signing the easement for 30 days. They decided not to do that. And further, because they felt our actions were in total non-compliance with the law, they have said we're going to work until the point that there's no work to do anymore, which means technically they can drill. They can drill about 200 feet before they actually hit Corps land. So it wouldn't be surprising to see a drill on the pad, which I believe it's there today. It wouldn't be surprising to see them to start drilling, but they know that they're in violation of federal multiple laws, which I will pursue if they touch anything on Corps land without an easement. And they've got that laid down as a marker, and they know, and they're gonna pursue it anyway. They've made a huge financial decision to put that drill rig on there before we have the easement resolved. And once again, I can't speak to their actions or why they're doing that. I would refer that back to DAPL.
We thank you for that stand, but we are here to talk about easement and how we can impact it from our viewpoint. And we do have other federal people here.
Well, I'm gonna get to the BIA. My next one was Kyle Thompson. He was a Dakota Access employee who come into the camp, who had an AR-15, who shot, I seen a video where he shot 2 rounds, and I was told that they were real rounds. And I asked the BIA, he was turned over to the BIA gave him the FBI gave him the Morton County, he was released the same day. I asked for that report. BIA on the ground said you have to file a Freedom of Information. We filed it. Mr. Roberts, he said I will get you that report by Friday. I still haven't gotten that report. And I told the colonel that, to me, you guys are taking this lightly, because he didn't even know where this incident happened. It was a Corps land in that water when he fired them 2 shots.
So that's correct. There's been very limited access into the land around the encampments for a lot of reasons. I don't have any tracking of who's going in and out of that land right now. You guys control the gates in and out. The only news I have of that incident is what you guys have briefed me, and I would have to refer that back to law enforcement. It's unfortunate. The whole situation's unfortunate, but those are public lands. That means anybody has access to them at this point, and it's one of the reasons why I advocated why those camps would be better located inside the reservation, so that there's at least some jurisdiction for the tribes to exercise peace and security patrols and law enforcement for the people who would come into the camps. And right now, that just doesn't exist.
So why was it charges on it?
I'm not in the business of law enforcement. You have to ask Morton County or the FBI or whoever he was turned over to.
And I did ask the U.S. Attorney's Office, Randy Seiler, and he said, I'll get back to you tomorrow. He never did.
And I'm sorry for that. But I can't speak for those actions, and I don't defend them either.
My name is Brandon Sazu, chairman of the Crow Creek Sioux Tribe.
It's good to see you.
My number is number 137 on that day. I was arrested too. I got one question for you. If the Dakota Access Pipeline decides to drill under Corps land, will you physically stop them?
If they drill without an easement, yes. I will request federal level law enforcement to come in and to cease work. Not only that, they know that, well, I won't get into that. They know that could put their whole project in danger by doing that. I don't expect them to drill any further than what they're already permitted to.
Thank you.
Back in May, we already seen things coming. We've written a letter through our Attorney General at home to ask Randy Seiler to provide protection for our people to exercise their First Amendment rights. And he assured us, he said, as long as they're on federal land and nonviolent, they will be protected. But that hasn't happened. I mean, the Army Corps allowed the state of North Dakota to tear gas our people and shoot them with rubber bullets while they were on Corps land. They were just trying to cross the river. It's all on Corps land. And, Mr. Seiler told us that they would be protected by the federal government, and they were.
Yeah, I've seen the tapes. I understand why people are upset. That is a situation where I think we're all looking at. We don't want to see happen again, and that's part of the reason we're sitting here. And just, to be clear, I think it was Randy Seiler has been very involved and very good on Indian country issues. Was it maybe Chris Myers? It was in North Dakota or South Dakota? Yeah, I was just thinking maybe it was Chris you talked to about that. But, that was a bad situation. You're right to bring it up, and it's the kind of situation we want to avoid in the future. And I apologize for that.
I mean, because you don't know, they were crossing that river. I mean, they were forced to stand in cold water. And you know, what kind of a treatment is that? I
I've
mean,
seen it.
holy smoke. And, you know, you don't know if they were gonna go crazy, you don't know. But our people have been pushed to that level. Like I said, they had dogs turned on them, tear gas, beaten with batons, drug out of a sweat lodge.
They've been acting that way and doing that since those immigrants first came, man.
And I'm not saying any of that was right. In fact, it's not. It may have been a situation that was, I won't say unavoidable, but everybody was hot at the time. So that's the way it worked out. I would also note that that's been raised with us at the department. We have people from the Community Relations Services down on the ground to talk to folks in the camps. We have a toll-free number that I'm happy to circulate through DA for reporting civil rights violations that people believe have occurred. Now, not everything is going to be a civil rights violation, even if it looks bad to me. You know, I've had discussions with them and that it looks bad. I mean, I think one of the strongest witnesses for all of this is that a lot of the folks out there have cameras and they're taping and it's coming back, and it's hard to argue with some of what we've seen. But those are things we're doing.
How about a Morton County police officer telling a tribal president to bend over? Is that okay?
I would suggest that is no way okay, but I was.
Well, that happened to Brandon.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. I mean, I don't know that there's federal feds there, but it's completely unacceptable. Completely.
I got Mr. Frank White. Representing Standing Rock, put him on in attendance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, we were doing some construction on a road near my district of Kennel, Standing Rock there, the low-lying area. We gotta get the Corps' permission to build on there, make some improvements on that road. Okay? The Corps line came across the road. And now that bridge is blocked north of the camp. That's Corps land, that goes all the way across right there. Who authorized it to block that bridge? That's Corps land. That bridge is. Think about that. You know, you look at the boundaries. We've been fighting with the Corps since they flooded our lands. We've been fighting the Corps for that taken area, 1620 line, I believe. You know, and then where you're praying, and then you got the Morton County coming down, and around that island where that tree's at, that's Corps land. But they got all their stuff up there. They got all their lights up there. They got vehicles, ATVs up there on Corps land. Cruzan's back there. Darren, you. Come here. Come up. Be at this table too. Come on, sit down.
You have room for me?
There's room for you, Mr. Kazan. You're the hitman, BIA law enforcement.
So we talk about the protection. You know, the protection when the government said, when you make these treaties, we'll protect you. That's where this guy has a job right now. That's why he has a job with us. That's why Mike has a job. Correct, Mike? Because of the tribes, right? The job is to protect us, right? Legally and everything, right? And so, you know, we go forward. You know, we had a meeting just with the council and Pete and the lawyers. I've been on council since 2001. This is kind of, we've been fighting everything, what we got, holding on to all those years since I've been on. Years prior to that. And then we'd be going years ahead of time. As long as you have red skin, as long as you have our Indian blood, we're fighting perpetually against the government. You know? As Lakotas, we're born to protect this earth. You know, we're born into it, whether you have a choice or not. That's why we're here. So we look into that. Someone who is taking notes, look into that about that road, blocking that bridge. Those are federal monies that built that bridge. You guys are saying that's 1806. It's a highway of the state. But when it goes in those low-lying areas, they needed someone's permission to make that.
For the bridge, you know, the
If we could use the mic, the people out in the gallery said they wanna hear what we're saying up there.
So, first of all, the bridge is actually a DOT jurisdiction. That's an easement that comes through Corps land, and they monitor the right of way on the road.
So that's
Secondly,
Corps land.
the reason the bridge is closed, from what I understand from the state of North Dakota, is after the water protectors come back across and they lit 2 National Guard dump trucks on fire, which are still on the bridge.
That's the
No,
other.
Because-
no, they're about 40 feet away. I
So,
walked up.
I'm just telling you that after the fire on the bridge, there was concerns about the integrity and the safety of the bridge. And so they chose to close it until that they could get inspectors in there to look at. Now I'm just talking on the behalf of North Dakota because they're not here, but I just want to provide some balance to the statements. It wasn't an arbitrary closure of the bridge. They had to close it out of safety concerns after there was a pretty significant fire out there. So that's their concern. And I just say that to say, there's a lot of things going on out there, and I really appreciate the perspective. But there's law enforcement on the Hill, and I would love to have the thought experiment of turning this a little bit and saying, what if you were in my position and you saw what was going to be imminent danger for a lot of people getting hurt again by running up that hill? And as Chairman Fraser said, we didn't know if they were going up there and praying. We didn't know if they were tribal members or protesters or Red Warriors. We had no idea. Nobody had any. We had no idea who it was. But if it was, as you said, we have a responsibility to protect. As leaders, we have a responsibility to try to minimize injuries and loss of life out there. At the time, it seemed like a very wise decision. Actually, I wouldn't say a wise decision. It just seemed like the best decision out of a selection of all bad decisions. And I don't think status quo or letting it go was going to keep any less people from getting hurt or arrested. Because we didn't know if they were going to go pray. If you were going to pray on Corps land, you should have did it like Miss Faith did over here and asked for a permit, and we would have facilitated that. But there was no permission. There was a bridge which we would never permit, a bridge built across waters of the state and the U.S., a dangerous bridge which would have endangered people's lives. People made a choice to get in the water. Nobody told them they had to get in the water, and they made a choice to charge and up the hill. And so then we had this confrontation. And I'm not defending the law enforcement actions. I don't know. I was not there, but I just want to provide some perspective to the deal at the bridge. And why there's folks on the Hill. In the end, it gets back to after the root cause of what we feel is a responsibility to protect life and prevent injury out there, and what's a very bad situation. And given the facts and circumstances, I would love as a thought experiment to lay that out as a case study to see if you as leaders would have made a different decision. Because I would love to learn from that, honestly.
They would have consulted first.
Yeah, I would have sat down with a lot of tribes, everybody involved, and said, what should we do?
We had about 10 minutes to make that decision.
I would have talked. But you knew that was out there. You knew from way back. You knew.
I'm not sure what your question, Mr. President.
Well, my question is, not allowing BIA to go down to the camp taken area, correct?
So I'm gonna take Darren's questions because you guys all should be looking at me. Darren's just following orders.
I can look at whoever I want, Robert.
Well, Darren
I
answers
want
to
to look
me. Darren answers to me.
Well, let me ask Darren then.
Darren answers to me.
Can I ask Darren?
I told Darren not to go down to the camp. I told Darren we don't have the law enforcement responsibility or capability
You sure
under
sitting
federal
around
law.
with boundaries though?
We
You're
so
sure sitting around
so
and
let
have
me.
all these spotlights up there?
So no, we don't have
Yeah, you do.
spotlights up
Yeah,
there.
yes, you do.
BIA does not have spotlights up there.
Robert, when's the last time you've been up there?
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So let me just say a couple of things though. One is federal law, and everybody knows this. Federal law limits our jurisdiction, BI jurisdiction, to Indian reservations. But that doesn't mean I'm proud of OJS and what they've been doing with Standing Rock and at DAPL because they have responded, and you all know this. They have responded in the camp to emergencies. When there was a car that drove down there and took out those teepees, Morton County didn't respond. OJS responded. When that person showed up with an AR-15 rifle and was firing, as Chairman Fraser said, 2 shots, Morton County didn't respond.
Where's the prevention of that?
OJS responded in an emergency. We do not have,
When
under
our
the
people
federal
were getting
law,
shot in the back with rubber bullets and getting hit with batons, where were you at?
we don't have jurisdiction over that area.
When they were getting bitten by dogs, where was you at?
I have a question. I would just like to make a comment on the jurisdiction part. In a meeting at Standing Rock, Colonel Henderson made the remark that I did offer to give the jurisdiction of this to the Bureau of Indian Affairs. He said that, right, Mr. Frazier? And whoever else was there?
I said it.
Yeah, okay, so, and he said, I have no problem, because it's one federal agency to another federal agency. And he just flat out denied wanting to take it at all. He had wanted no part in it. That's what we was told by Colonel Henderson in a meeting, almost verbatim on that, because I remember that conversation.
So I would extend that, just for the group, the rest of that conversation was, is we've got a similar response from the federal marshals.
So
There's no-
we do not, under federal law, we do not have the ability to do that. We do not have the ability to extend our jurisdiction. Indian country jurisdiction is defined by federal statute. So when Chairman Fraser was talking about in terms of how we move forward, the consultations tomorrow about how do we address infrastructure moving forward, maybe jurisdiction is one of those things, law enforcement jurisdiction, we need to address. We all know this sitting around this table. Our law enforcement, all of our law enforcement doesn't even have jurisdiction over non-Indians, right? I mean, so BIA, OJS, we have been responding at the camp when there have been emergencies. But you're asking us to do something that legally we do not have the authority to do. So that needs to change. I think we all agree to
And
that.
I've seen photos where these white cops, there's one photo where he has his knee on a lady's head. That's violence against women. And I've sent them pictures to the state of South Dakota saying, are these South Dakota values? Is this why we're sending up our HPs to North Dakota? I was raised not to strike women. I think all of us at this table was. But we're allowing the North Dakota state to do that to women? It shouldn't matter what country you're in. A man shouldn't strike a woman.
It's happened all our lives, guy. This is,
But we need to change it.
this is the way they treat Indians.
I don't think anybody would disagree with you. I mean, the level of violence is not what we want to see to happen. BIA doesn't, let me be clear, they do not have the ability to respond outside of Indian country. And most of the areas we're talking about now are outside Indian country. The federal government was asked to respond by Morton County. We did not believe at the time that we had either the jurisdiction at a particular time, and it's been changing. I mean, we're in different areas now, we're on core land, we weren't before, but we also didn't think it would be really good to have a lot of federal people down there adding to the problem. Now that was what we were getting from them, that was a request we got from them. This is the first time hearing from you all, and that may be because I just haven't been in the right places, that might be something you want. And I think that's something that's very worth talking about, if that's something you think is worth discussing.
Well, I'd like to address Mr. Roberts. Now, the Oklahoma Sweep Track, we made an agreement with the state of South Dakota that our Attorney General can act against non-Indians on the reservation, certified by them. By agreement between two equals.
To
Now,
detain.
if you've got the Army Corps over there wanting to do an agreement with yourselves on police jurisdiction, you shouldn't cop out. That you can do this agreement to operate on Corps land. It's an excuse and unacceptable.
It's a federal law, Chairman. I mean, it's 18 USC 1151. That is our jurisdiction. You're asking, I cannot change a federal law, and we haven't copped out.
I've got a Supreme Court case and I've got statutes saying that non-Indians cannot be arrested by my people or my departments. But we made an agreement amongst each other to operate within that other jurisdiction. And I don't see why anybody else can
And
make
so our,
agreements to operate within each other's jurisdictions.
and our OJS officers, who you all know, because they serve your areas, your territories, they have been responding in the camps. The camps have been primarily peaceful though.
So
The law enforcement in the camps has not been an issue.
what you're saying is two conflicting things. Number one, you can't go over there because it's not your jurisdiction, right? Number two, you're going over there for emergencies, right? So you're going over there.
We're going over there when in an emergency. Yes, we are. We're not patrolling over there. We're going over there when there is an absolute emergency that Morton County is not responding to. Our OJS officers are responding to.
So that means you're going over there.
We're going over there, and then we turn them over, because all we can do is detain, and so we turn them over to FBI was one circumstance, or we turn them over to Morton County Sheriff because they're the ones that have jurisdiction.
Okay, so you're going over there, right? And
In
then
emergencies.
You're going over there for emergencies, but you won't go over there to police.
No, we don't have the authority to police. We have authority to respond to emergency, just like any other law enforcement
So
officer
who gave you
anywhere.
the authority to respond to emergencies?
It's general policing authority the federal agents would have anywhere. If Darren saw something that happened out in the parking lot here, and
Same
if somebody
thing.
was being robbed, he could respond, but he doesn't have law enforcement authority generally to police that area. It's just his duty or his ability, I don't know if it would necessarily even be a statutory duty, to respond to something he sees going on. But that doesn't give him the ability to go out and write a parking ticket or, rouse somebody who was causing a problem trespassing in the convention center. They're different things. It's complicated, but there is a difference. That isn't to say there might not be a way for some federal agency to be involved there, but that's not a request we've heard.
So here's one thing that'll stop everything. Don't give them the easement. You say there's all these pipes under the water already that's been there for years and years. From this day forward, to stop all that, don't put any pipes under there anyway for the future of all our generations.
Just for clarification on jurisdictions, one last to come back to the baseline. Status quo is that falls under the state and local jurisdiction of Morton County. They have the jurisdiction to come in and enforce state and local laws. We've asked them, in support of a free speech zone on core land, to not come in their jurisdiction unless we requested it. But they have the jurisdiction to respond, whether it's emergency response, whether it's snow removal, which is kind of a big topic this weekend, and whether it's general policing. But because we didn't want people getting hurt, and because of the protection of constitutional rights, we've asked them to stay out of the area of land north of the Cannonball River that has been occupied. Even though it's not permitted, we've still protected that. So, but in the event, they don't necessarily have to ask permission to come onto core land to enforce state and local laws. They automatically have that jurisdiction. It's the federal laws that we require federal policing in this case. So I just want to lay that out as the baseline, and the reason they're not going in there is an agreement they have with us.
Thank you. Sometimes it's up to interpretation.